It is Friday, February the 18th. Here's a nice view. Nothing like a few palm trees to make things right, especially after another winter wallop. This is Waikoloha. Waikoloha. And a waikoloha to you, too. This is the west side of Hawaii. Man, do I miss beach time. Beautiful 19 degrees. Still early in the morning, but we have people already out there. Looks like a family in the lower right getting set for some beach fun. Boy, I can't wait for those days. It's 19 degrees there right now, breakfast time. We have 30 days and counting until we welcome spring, and I know it'll be a long time before we are strolling and putting our feet in the sand, and there are no palm trees certainly in our vicinity, but I can't wait now. And I enjoy winter. I do. But I'm ready, and I think maybe just because of what's going on over the last 2 years, you're wanting something new because there's a lot of old, right? But anyway, great to have your company, my friends. Yes, TGIF, so nice to wrap up the week together here. Appreciate your time. We've got a great show coming up for you. And by the way, I have to say hello, especially to Linda, who was the first one in, wishing everybody a happy Friday. Lots of other people here. Barbara joining us, Miranda, Alan, Haley, also Susan, Lonnie, and Zayner. Sharon from Jamaica joining us. Hey, Sharon, it's good to have your company. Donna is here checking in. Jerry's saying hello. So we've got so much coming up. We're going to do the full forecast. I've got good news and I got bad news. We'll concentrate maybe more on the good news, but I'll have all the details nonetheless. We'll have a brand new AKQ, and we're going to head out to the sea for an epic journey. Wait till I show you this video, and that'll lead us into the AKQ, the Anwar Night Query. And we're also going to take a dive into the deep depths, and show you in our Nod to Nature file a sea creature, one of the most beautiful sea creatures, I think, on the planet. But I bet many of you have never seen before, so we'll do that and more to come. We're also going to play, of course, the Missing Movie game. But I want to start things off here today with, everything's winter white here in our area. And, yeah, it's nice to look at. But now we're getting closer to March, right? But, they say misery loves company. We're not the only ones dealing with storms. In Europe, they have a parade of storms, in fact. Have you seen this? This is out of Germany. Take a look at this video here. There were huge monster waves in Hamburg aboard this ferry. So they were on the ferry. And it was so powerful that, look at this, it crashed right through the window. And I even slow-moed it a bit too here. You can see the passengers running out. But there's one guy in the very front. I think he's a man with the black hat. Look, there he is. And he just gets it. Oh, man. Now, I can chuckle knowing that apparently there were no major injuries whatsoever, which is good news. But look, he just gets it. They had wind gusts of 150 kilometers an hour. Northern Europe, the third storm is now moving in. I find it also interesting, the one who's actually capturing this on his phone. He doesn't seem to react, just in the sense of reacting, or, hey, maybe I should help somebody. No, he's just rolling, and he wants to make a viral video. Hence, we did get the video. But this leads me to the AKQ here today. So, what's worse? Now, is it dangerous monster waves on a ship? And I realize that's not a cruise ship. That was a ferry ship. Still very scary. But waves, monster waves on a ship, or wicked turbulence on a plane? Which do you say is worse? I'm thinking it's the turbulence on a plane. And only for the reason of you can't go anywhere. In fact, for the most part, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened at all times. And even if you did take off, where are you going? Right? I mean, the plane is doing this. You can't go. Your safest spot is in your seat. So for me, it would be turbulence on a plane. But that's the AKQ for you today. What's worse? Would it be the dangerous monster waves on a ship or the wicked turbulence on an airplane? That's what we're asking from you today. And Jerry says, by the way, driveway's cleaned out, so time to put my feet up with you. Well, it's good to have your company, and I hope you paced yourself shoveling, because I did it about 4 times. I did 3 last night, trying to do as much as you can before I went to bed, and then there was a little bit left over. But then, of course, the plow came over. It was a whole other thing. But also, Penny says, happy Friday. Penny Lynn adds, indeed, it is a nice day to get our capital back after 22 days. Yes, hallelujah, no kidding. Tammy's wishing everybody a happy Friday. Friday. Lori says hello. Christopher says good afternoon. Margaret wishing everybody a happy afternoon here on a sunny, cold Friday. Rose is saying hello. And Alan, are you there? I'm right here. The show has begun, my friends. I hope you're watching us. Sarah J. says hello, and Donna says hi. Giselle says, always nice to hear your voice. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Nancy's joining us, wishing a happy Friday. Linda adds, love to see you. I love to see you guys, too. I really appreciate that. Cindy's joining us from Oshawa. It's great to have your company, too, joining us again. And Jill Fraser saying, happy Friday from Burlington. Jack says hello from Caledon. And Anne says hello as well. So the question I'm asking you guys, which is worse for the AKQ? Is it the turbulence on the plane or monster waves on a ship? So you let me know that. And oh, some of your comments are so very nice. And Cindy adds, can't wait for spring, by the way. You know, saw a bluebird, not a blue jay, and a robin the other day. Yeah, they're pretty frequent at our house. We have bird feeders in the backyard. In fact, I just plugged in actually the water fountain, not really a fountain, it's a heated bowl if you will, but so it doesn't ice up, because now when there's another layer of snow, you want to make sure that they have something to drink when they're eating on our buffet, which we don't mind. It's a beautiful way to start the day. All right, so I got some great stories here for you. And this I just thought was so cool. Speaking, keeping with our boat or ship theme here, a 6th grader made a cool discovery. He found a small boat on the shores in Norway. And I mean pretty small. It's about 6 feet. It's not a huge boat or a yacht by any means, but it was decorated with little hand-drawn art designs. And inside this boat, he noted there were some electronics as well as photos, acorns, and coins. What? He's thinking, what's going on? And as it turns out, this is a 6th grader, so about 12 years old. This boat was set sail about 2 years ago by some school students in New Hampshire. We're talking the U.S. Northeast, right? No, there's Ontario sitting right here, all the way across the Atlantic, and it was discovered in Norway, and it was a school project. Let me show you some pictures here. So the first one is the actual boat, if you will, and there's the youngster who found it in Norway, and it was at sea for 462 days. It traveled over 13,000 kilometers, and you can see also on the boat that he has found, it did lose its mast and some other things, but there's barnacles attached. I'll show you the other photo here. The kids put a GPS unit in it, and they were actually tracking it as part of their school project. And the last ping they had was near Ireland, and then everything just sort of stopped. So they were a little disappointed. But it became a national news story in Norway when this youngster found it. So the two schools are now going to connect on Facebook, and they're going to compare stories and the excitement. And I should say this is actually a part of a marine initiative to teach students about the ocean and global impacts. So what a great idea. And I'm sure there's some funding from sponsors and that sort of thing, for the GPS unit. But isn't that something? 462 days, over 13,000 kilometers, one group of students in North America, and one student finds it. Now he's sharing the whole experience with his school, and there's an exchange going on, a conversation, camaraderie. So I just thought it was really cool, to think something like that, could happen. And I thought we should do that here. Maybe I should try to send something out in the lake, and eventually it makes its way into the ocean. It'd be kind of neat. So Barbara says that's incredibly scary. Yes, with that wave for sure. Jackie says the monster waves on a ship. So you're okay with the plane. That's interesting. Sarah J says, swimming, anyone? Yes, not by choice, though. Nancy says, turbulence. I'm with you. And Linda says, oh, yeah, a plane for sure. Yeah. Ruth also says the plane. Cheryl says, turbulence on the plane. Laurie says both. It's interesting because, yeah, you're probably right. And I guess it depends how big the boat is, because I still would feel a little more stable. But we've seen stories over the last few years, even these big cruise ships. They don't get out of the path out of a hurricane, so they get clipped a little bit. And, the dining room, everything's flooded and tables upside down and that sort of thing. What was that movie? Poseidon Adventure, right? Not that that happened, but Susan says, I think turbulence on a plane is worse. Brenda says a plane. Jill says turbulence. Linda Bevan says plane for sure. And Donna says plane. Look, everybody is leaning towards the plane. And so does Barbara. And Sarah J adds, neither one of those seem fun. And Margaret says monster waves on a ship because it throws you around the ship and crashes in your balcony. Well, you have a balcony, lucky you. Yeah, and maybe that's the advantage of the plane. That's why they say to keep the belt on, right? So that's interesting. And Alan says, a nice start to the long weekend. Well, I appreciate that. And Betty mentions definitely turbulence on a plane. So before we get into the missing movie game, I have another story I want to share with you. We're also going to do the forecast. This is neat. Now, you know, one of the things when it comes to sort of the impacts of COVID, and there are many, of course, but is the labor shortage. You know, the thing is, there has been a real challenge for especially employers who are doing minimum wage jobs to retain employees, hire new ones, for many reasons. One, people are saying, you know, I'm not going to work for that dollar with the risk of getting COVID. Two, some, parents, they have to stay home because their kids are now doing online learning. So there are a variety of issues, and it's not only here in Canada. It's, I would say globally to some extent, but surely across North America. So there's a company that is offering a solution. I thought this was really fascinating and yet scary at the same time. And they are doing great business because they are offering up robots. I'm talking these things do it all, right? I want to show you a video here. You can meet Flippy. So Flippy is this a company that has devised it. He's sort of now the robotic fry guy, but they're also adopting another one to do burgers. But he will automatically load up all the fries, dumps them in the fryer. After a timer goes up, pulls them out, shakes it, and puts it into the serving tray. There's also chicken wings that he's doing there. Apparently, Flippy can do 60 baskets of fries in an hour. That's a lot of fries. I worked at McDonald's as a kid, and 60 is a lot of baskets. Even our Mad Rush lunch hour, I don't think we'd go through 60. But the thing is, this company, there's a couple of major brands that are now adopting this, and it's quite expensive. It's about $3,000 a month, and I guess that's part of the maintenance plan. They come and they make sure everything's always working for you, because if the robot is, you know, if a hardwire is gone, then you just got it sitting there. It's not doing much, and it's taking a lot of room. But I thought it was really interesting. I mean, it's no secret, right, that AI is taking over in many job places, many sectors, robotics, automation. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's a cost, and the cost is it's also taking jobs, right? On one hand, you hear, for an employer, they want to still keep the business open. But I also wonder, it strips away that human element. If you go down to McDonald's now even, they've got those automated things you push on the screen. I won't do it. Not that we go to McDonald's very often now, mainly for the kids, but I'm not standing in a line and pushing. First of all, I'm not touching anything with COVID, okay? I'm still wearing gloves, but we'll typically go through the drive-thru. If we do have to go in, I'll go to the one cash. When I was a kid, we had 9 caches going. 9 spots where you could order. We had a double drive-thru, and now you're lucky if you get 2. It's usually 1, and you got to pre-order. But, it's interesting because this is where things are going. As I mentioned, first it's the fry guy, then they're getting into making ones that'll do burger flipping for companies. So don't be surprised if you go into a fast food place in the next couple of years and what the heck is that? Oh, wow, there he goes. Now, mind you, not a lot of them actually do grilling anymore. Everything's just put in a heat tray and all that, but I won't get into that. But I thought it was interesting. Let's continue with you. Zaner says, for the AKQ, if I had a life jacket for the ship, I'd be fine. Turbulence is much worse. That's why when you do a cruise and they say, please show up tomorrow morning for your emergency procedures, and you're like, man, I'm tired. I've been flying for 12 hours. We finally got a room. I'm not starting my vacay at 6 o'clock in the morning so they can go over this stuff. You know what? You should. Because you want to know what's going on, God forbid. I want to know, where's my life preserver? Which boat do I exit to? And all that sort of thing. Rico is joining us. He says you can't drown from turbulence. No, but you can go down pretty quick. So I don't know, is that better or not? Gail says, hello from Port Hope and happy to be here. Well, we are glad you are joining us here on here and there. My name is Anwar Knight, by the way. If you're new to the program, just put a little asterisk and say new. We welcome you here. We stream live every Friday, and the beauty about this is real-time connection, and we have viewers literally from around the world. We just have some fun and put away all the heaviness of the week and just have a good time, and that's the goal here. Christine says, great to see you. Happy Friday. Can't decide. Both are terrifying. It's a fair answer. Lonnie says the plane, so turbulent, so does Rose. And Tammy says, scary, scary on a plane. There's nowhere to go. That's what I say. You know, you're just stuck there. But big waves and a fear of drowning, also pretty scary. Yeah, I could see that. Norma's joining us, says hello, and mentions that her grandson still has the picture on the TV stand. Tyler did a little project with me about a decade ago when we created this initiative for cancer survivors called Hope Happens. So I'm glad Tyler's doing well. I'm glad, Norma, you've connected with us. Kathy's joining us and says both for the AKQ. Not pleased with either one of those choices. Andrea mentions, so great to see you and hear your voice. I would pass out. I would pass out in both scenarios. Now, that is not a good thing, right? You need to be alert. You know, I remember there was a story, oh man, it must have been 5, 8 years ago, and they were talking about tips that could save your life, in particular if you're on a plane. And one thing they said, for women especially, is the footwear you choose to wear. You want to wear something that if you can, if there's an emergency, you're running, you know, if there's an emergency shoot, you're not sort of, you know, I haven't seen many women wear high heels on a plane, but that's what they were getting at. But they also said, avoid taking the Gravol or a couple of drinks just to take the tension off, because if there's an emergency, listen, if something's going on and you're, nobody's going, wake up, wake up. They're like, see you later. So something to keep in mind. Catherine says, hey, great to see you. Such a wonderful show. Thank you. Leslie says, plane turbulence is worse for me. Alan adds that as well. Cindy says, waves. And Kathy says, do you have one of the electrical bird baths? You know what? She just caught in late. No, it's not an electrical bird bath that shoots up water. To be perfectly honest, it is actually a heated dog bowl dish, drinking water dish. But it's a very large one that I ordered, and it has a special coil on the cord if you used it for your dog that they wouldn't chew it. Our dog stays in, obviously, at night, so we don't worry about it. But I find it works out wonderful for the birds. We plug it into an extension. I put a little rock or a piece of wood in the center, and they can sort of perch themselves, and it's just kind of neat. One thing's to see them eating on the bird feeder, and then they flutter into there and they start drinking. You're like, you know what? Good for you. That's what it's there for, so enjoy. And also, Jerry says, definitely the plane turbulence. And says, what do we got here? It was just awful, but got to the middle of the ship and things evened out as we made it safely. Oh, so she's saying she was on a cruise ship that got hit by a monster rogue wave. Ooh. Now that would be scary, because for the most part, you know, when you're on a cruise ship, I mean, generally speaking, they're always aiming for calm seas, and you look out and there's nothing, right? But to feel that, you know, did I ever tell you, I did quite a few cruises in my younger days. We haven't gone on one with kids because, to be honest, I'm quite terrified. My youngest, he'll climb over a railing, you know. He's stuntman Stu sort of thing. But I remember going on one in particular, and I think this was in Europe, the Mediterranean. And, you know, I did my pee run at like 2 in the morning. I go to our bath, and you know the little cabins, right? I mean, the bathroom is like a phone booth, has a little flop door. So I go in, and I'm going like this in the boat. Holy smokes. So I said to my wife, I think we're in a storm. You know, I'm going to the bathroom and this whole ship thing is going like this. So I said, I got to go see this because it's just kind of neat, right? And again, it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I put on my slippers and I run in. By the way, we're in the bowels of the ship. We did not have a balcony, might I add. So I'm climbing up, and I learned that way, by the way, if you are going to invest on a cruise ship, at the very least get a window, because otherwise you feel like, you know, where am I every day? So I run up, I'm going up the stairs, up the stairs, up the stairs, and I go up to the dock, and I'm looking out, and it's nighttime, right? You got a bit of the moonlight. I see nothing. We're just doing our thing. And I thought, this is really weird. So the next morning, when you have the communal breakfast, you know, 6 or 8 people at the table, and there are a lot of seniors that go on cruise ships. We were sitting with one that was sort of like the reunion of Cocoon. Remember the movie? Not that that's a bad thing. But I said, I thought we had a real bad storm last night. And I remember this one couple,
the gentleman, he started laughing at me, and he looked at his wife and said, oh, they haven't done this before. I'm like, no, this is our first cruise. And he's the one who told me that what happens during the day, if they are going to be cruising, if they're not docked at a port, they put out stabilizers on either side of the ship to prevent it from rocking and swaying so much, because there's, people out and about, they're eating their dinner or lunch and whatever and on the pool. But at night, they pull those puppies in and they gun it, because they don't want resistance, right? It's more fuel. I mean, look, the ship is weighing, what, 50, 60, 150 tons? I don't know. So they pull these things in and they just go. And as a result, you start to feel it. So I'm like, well, that explains it. I was just fascinated by that. And I guess it really does make a lot of sense at the end of the day, right? So I thought it was a cool story. As we continue with you, Narita says both are scary, turbulence and cruise ship monster waves. It was a nightmare. Yeah, I guess for some it certainly could be. And, Kathy says, now if I could have Flippy at home to do the housework, be careful what you wish for, Kathy. We've got the Roomba Zoomba. What's that little vacuum? It's coming. And I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but anyway, I'll leave it right there. Interesting stuff. Okay, what were we talking about now? We were doing the ships. Oh, yes. Oh, right, we're going to weather. Thank you, Jason. I got off to the tangent because I was looking at the gumball. By the way, my kids, remember when we did Gum Day? They brought a whole bunch of candy here, and they made a candy store for Mom and Dad, and they still left some of their stuff. They brought gummies down and whatever cookies and stuff we had in the cupboards, and they put it all on a display. Anyway, let's get to your forecast, guys. Then we'll play the missing movie game, and we'll open up our Nod to Nature file. Trust me, you will love the video coming out of our Nod to Nature file. But the weather is brought to you by the Big Blue Marble podcast. Listen in along as I feature undeniable stories of our changing planet and the amazing people trying to save it. It's available now in your favorite podcast player. There are brand new episodes that are also available right now at www.bigbluemarble.earth and also at anwarnight.com. So there you have it. There's your forecast. Now, you guys ready to play the missing movie game? Yeah, I'm into that as we continue to connect with you. Alan says robots don't need a break. I know, but that's not a good thing. We need a job. You know what I mean? All right, let's get into the missing movie game. And this is really fun, really easy to play. I'm going to read a line from a movie, and you tell me where it belongs, right? You find the missing movie. So you're ready for number one? And by the way, when you give me your answer, please number it 1, 2, or 3 so I know, just because there's a slight delay. And we're going to start with number 1. Here is the line. I'm serious and don't call me Shirley. I'm serious and don't call me Shirley. Name the missing movie. All right, I got to go all the way down here. What is the missing movie? And Barbara says, I always look forward to my accurate forecast. I appreciate that, Barbara. Thank you. And also, Penny Lynn says, your podcasts are always so interesting. You always have an insightful twist. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Really do. Okay, so we've got some answers all coming in. So, Leslie says airplane. Alan says airplane. Wendy says airplane. Alan says airplane. Ron, Donna, Aisha, Pat O'Brien. Am I making this too easy, or are you guys cheating? Indeed, it is airplane. Leslie Nielsen as Dr. Rumack. What a movie. That was such a cult following movie, Airplane. And real cool story behind that. That line actually saved the film during production, because Paramount, which foot the bill for the production, they weren't keen on the whole concept and the storyline. And in part because they didn't trust the 3 directors working together. They were, amateurs at that point, right? They weren't big, proven directors. So what they did, they said, I tell you what, we'll give it a 2-week trial. Start production. We'll see how it goes for 2 weeks. And of course, the execs, the pencil pushers, they were, in watching as they were doing the takes. They saw that particular scene where he said, I'm serious and don't call me Shirley. And the way Leslie Nielsen delivered it with that deadpan delivery, they got it. They loved it. They said, this is going to be good. So there you have it. And then they signed up. They said, okay, finish the movie. It looks good. And you know what else is interesting? We talk about turbulence on a plane. There was only one airline to this date that has ever aired that movie on a flight. And it was Aeromexico. True story. No other airline would put it on there, which I guess you could see the reasoning behind it. But there you have it. That is the missing movie. Number 1 is Airplane. Second one, missing movie number 2. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. Name the movie. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. Name the movie. This is a classic. This is number 2 as we play the missing movie game here on Here and There. Again, oh, here we go. Some of the answers are coming in. Leslie says Casablanca. Also Anne, Jill, Alan, and Connie, Jack, Donna, Jerry, and Livia as well says that. Wow. Sarah J says, I don't know. Mine says classic. Indeed it was. It was Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart from 1942. One of the many famous quotes in that film. In fact, that movie was listed as one of the most quotable movies of all time. There were a string of them. You know, another one would be, here's looking at you, kid. And I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. So there you have it. Number 2 is Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart. As we get into number 3, here we go. A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fafa beans and a nice Chianti. That is number 3. Cheryl says Haley has been stumped with some of these movies. All right, number 3. Put number 3 here. A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fafa beans and a nice Chianti. I'll put a little accent on it. A census taker once tried to test me, and I ate his liver, Clarice, with some fafa beans and a nice Chianti. Come on, yes, all right, Lois. And Livia, Silence of the Lambs. Susan gets in there as well. She's on the board. Christine, yes. I was surprised you didn't get that earlier, but that was a creepy movie. Yes, indeed. Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter. You know what's funny? Sean Connery was originally cast in that film. They wanted him more than anybody else, and he read the script and he said, this is revolting. And it was revolting. I don't want anything to do with it. Now, maybe he should have, because it also, you know, was one of the few movies to win the Big Five at the Oscars: Best Picture, Actor, Actress, Director, and Screenplay. Silence of the Lambs. All right, just before we wrap up, I want to get into our Nod to Nature file. Let's open this up as we go right down into the deep depths of the sea. And this, I think, is one of the most beautiful sea creatures that I bet many of you have never seen. It is the blue-ringed octopus. Let me show you a video here, because this thing is just phenomenal. You know, when you hear octopus, you tend to think, for the most part, a fairly large animal. This particular species of octopus is actually very small. It weighs only about 25 grams, you know, equivalent to a AA battery. But don't let the size fool you, because it is also one of the most venomous animals on the planet. So they flash their little blue rings as a warning to stay away. They don't actually produce their own poison. They gather the bacteria from the ocean floor and then store it in their saliva. So they basically are cooking up a toxin, you know, in their saliva. And it's unlike any other animal, a creature in the animal kingdom. And this toxin paralyzes what it attacks. Like if it did it to a crab, it then uses its beak, you know, and picks at the head and then ejects the saliva. It would do, in theory, the same to a human being, although they're not normally aggressive. But it basically paralyzes you. It has 3 hearts, pumps blue blood, has a beak, no bones, and remarkable capability to camouflage itself, to sort of take on the color of where it is, so it sits very quietly. But is that not just spectacular? I thought, you know what? This is a creature that is worthy entry into our Nod to Nature file. And if you're curious, for the most part, they are in the Pacific Ocean. That's where they live, at about 50 meters or so. I was looking on some of the social media platforms, and there was one in particular of a woman who found one of these, and again, it's very tiny. And she's, you know, oh, look at the little cute little octopus, and, you know, and it's doing a little move around. It didn't bite her, thankfully, but it became viral because she was like, oh, this is neat, not knowing that this octopus, if it did bite her, She could be a goner, right? Isn't that something? So there you have it. Anyway, I thought it was really, really cool. Yes, what amazing creature, Christine says. Sarah J says that's very cool. So does Cheryl. And Zayner adds to that. Lonnie says amazing. Listen, if you're enjoying the show today, please send me those hearts. Parade of hearts. Let's get as many as we can for today as we push into the long weekend. I always appreciate your comments. If there's things that you'd like to see a little differently on the show, let me know. But like, love, share, and follow the page and tell your friends about it. As I mentioned, we have viewers from around the world, and it's just so satisfying when we connect with people from different parts of our planet. We are all in this together. There's a lot of things going on, not just here, but everywhere. And this is the one place we can get together and have a good time. I had an amazing time. I hope you did too. So again, oh, look at that. Laurie says, how does this time go so fast? Thank you. Have a great family day. Yes, indeed. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful family day weekend as well. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your company. Be safe, be well, be kind. And I look forward to your company next week, guys. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.